Word up, big dogs. You want to know about the toughest military parachute course in the whole of England? Well, I'm going to tell you about the toughest military parachute course in the whole of England. In fact, I'm going to tell you lots. Got my operator's jacket on because in this house the war never ends. Been out there in the field today digging over the Brussels sprouts. Cheeky bonfire. We're not here to talk about gardening. We're here to talk about parachuting. So let's get it on. So I've got some notes here. That's probably why I'm going to be looking here. And let's just go for it, shall we? I think I said it before. Parachuting is just brilliant, full stop. Whether you're it's a civilian jump, whether you're skydiving, and the British military course is, it's not just, well, it was always rumoured to be really hard to get onto, but putting that to one side, it's just such great fun. Absolutely great fun. So you're there, you're in your commando unit or wherever it may be, and you see these guys and they've got, I don't even know which arm it was now, but they've got parachute wings on their arm. And to be honest, they never really said much about it. It's kind of crazy when you understand what a phenomenally awesome course it is to do. Where was I? I was on HMS Invincible, and one of the corporal, we had two corporals on board, and one day one of them came into our mess deck and he said, guys, I've got us on a parachute course. And he'd phoned up Brize Norton, that's in Oxford in the UK, and just asked, could you get 12 guys on a parachute course? And they said, yeah, we can get 12 guys on a parachute course. And he said, that's brilliant that you can get 12 guys on a parachute course. So anyway, fast forward, we all got ourselves to Brize Norton, and it's an interesting situation. Brize Norton is an RAF base, Royal Air Force, and the actual paracourse part of it is it's a dual operation, so it's run by the paras. In fact, the paras do the admin side of it, so they do your accommodation and logging you onto the course, this kind of thing. And then the RAF jump instructors, they run the training you to throw yourself out of balloons and aeroplanes, right? And immediately there it was there's a clash of interest, because these paras there, and the guy that was in charge of our course, he'd obviously smashed himself up doing a jump. He had one leg longer than the other one. He had this big thick boot on one leg to make the difference up, you know. So obviously it was kind of either you have to leave the parachute regiment, or we'll find you a job somewhere that you can do, right? And this was his job there at Brize Norton. And the guy just started treating us like children, basically. Some of the Gurkhas on our course, and there were lots of Gurkhas, had left, well, one of the Gurkhas had left some wet socks on a radiator, and oh my god, it just triggered off this old para, you know. So he came out guns blazing, right, you lot, none of you going home this weekend. You're gonna blimmin' do this. You're gonna do that. You're gonna tidy this, and one of the Royal Marines officers, I think it was, just turned around and looked at us and went, "Guys, let's just fuck off." So we all went home for the weekend anyway, right? But that was the kind of ethos we were working under. If you get my drift. We're obviously all trained commandos, wearing our green berets. Many of us have served, you know, 5 years, 10 years, some 15 years, and we're working alongside what they call baby paras. Baby para is a para that they've maybe done P company, but they haven't done the jumps course yet. So the parachute course is the jumps course, right? And yeah, you know, so they're still like kind of recruits, and you can understand them being treated like that, but not for us guys. And it was quite funny actually, because when he gave us this bollocking, we were actually in the parachute hangar, which is a huge building. Probably got that when I said hangar, right? But yeah, it's the huge building where you do the majority of your parachute training. And we sat there on these mats, and he's come out, he's going, "Oh, wet socks on the radiator, blah blah blah." And this Corporal H turned around to this Gurkha and he went, "You, freaking told you, like, you've got to sort it out. This is just because of fucking you. We can't go home for the weekend," right? This Gurkha turned to him and went, "But I am a major. I don't live in your accommodation. I live in the officers' mess." Right. Yeah, so H had picked the wrong battle there, right? Now, it was funny that I did 2 parachute courses, and I'll just talk about the first one, because in my room I was with 2 SES guys. It was me, you know, there were 4 beds in the room, and there was me, and there was these 2 SES guys that have just passed all their selection. Sooty and Sooty, was it Sooty? Was it Sweet? Who cares? But let's say Sooty and Nigel. And they just come out the jungle, they've done all their jungle phase and their interrogation and escape and evasion and all this sort of stuff. So I'm just all ears. Just, guys, tell me all the stories, you know. I just want to hear everything, right? But it was funny, these SAS guys, because when we're in a pub, you can tell your squaddies and your bootnecks a mile away, as I'm always saying, right? We all wear this kind of underground uniform, all a bit rough around the edges, all typical drunken servicemen. And yet you'd sit in a pub and you'd look across and you'd see these 2 SES guys, and like, they dressed really smart, polished leather shoes, you know, jackets. And I always used to think, it's amazing that nobody, I don't know if you can hear that, but we're not being bumped. That's fireworks going off. But yeah, I used to think it's amazing that, you know, you hear all these stories about the SES, they're heroized, if that's the word, and he got the whole Iranian embassy thing going on back in the day. And yet here were these two troopers sat in a pub, and you would not have known these guys are elite special forces. You know, they were really nice chaps. Like I say, they really held themselves well. And yeah, I thought that's interesting. But it was quite funny because the SAS don't wear berries, believe it or not. Of course, you know, for ceremony they've got their sandy berries. Of course they have. But around camp and that, they just don't wear berries. So on this RAF base, I remember watching these two guys, Sooty and Nigel, and they're going for scran, dinner, what they would call scoff, right, in the army. And this regimental sergeant major went, "Oi, you two! Where's your effing headwear? Get back to your accommodation and get it on now!" These two SES guys just went, and just carried on walking. Yeah, I guess their commanding officer probably had a lot of phone calls, and you can imagine how those phone calls ended up, right? So, yeah, but a funny thing, it was a funny thing, we're chatting in the room, me, Sooty and Nigel, and they said, Chris, we got one of your guys has just joined our lot. Like, what do you mean? He said, Bob Consiglio. He was a bootneck, but he's one of the very first, if not the first, Royal Marines to join the SAS instead of the Royal Marines Special Boat Service, right? So, you know, take that on board, don't you? And didn't think much more of it. And then that particular parachute course I was on was cancelled. We'd just done the balloon jump. I'm going to tell you more about that. And the instructing staff sent us all home. But they sent us all home because the Hercules all had to go out to the Gulf. This is the first Gulf War, right? So there weren't any planes for us to throw ourselves out of. So I got back and I was at my dad's house in Devon. And I flicked the telly on, and it was the news. And there was a scene of a coffin draped in a Union flag, the Union Jack, being carried out of a church by soldiers, you know, in their dress uniform. And then the commentator on the BBC, the journalist, says, and today the people of such and such a village buried the body of SAS trooper Bob Consiglio, the first casualty of the Gulf War. I couldn't believe, literally been talking about this guy the day before. And any of you that have or any of you are familiar with the story of Bravo 20 will know that Bob was one of the troopers on that 8-man patrol. So yeah, let's move on. It's quite interesting actually, because when I was in Hong Kong, you know, a few years later, and if you know about my memoir, Eat and Smoke, you know I was chronically addicted to crystal meth, heavily in psychosis. Quite an interesting experience. And one night in my room in Hong Kong, there was a radio program playing, and the subject of the radio program was that people were starting to cast doubt on some of these books that have been written about the Gulf War. saying that maybe they were, you know, not quite as true as you might think. And they mention a book that Bob Consiglio was in. And I just remember thinking, that ain't nice. That's not nice for his family, right? You know, imagine reading a book about your son's death, and then you're hearing like, maybe it's not actually a true account. Spun me out for a bit. So, yeah. Fast forward a couple of years, and I'm at Stonehouse Barracks in Plymouth. It's the headquarters of the Royal Marines. And I picked up the phone and I just called up Brize Norton. And I said, look, I was on a paracourse before, got cancelled because of the Gulf. Any chance to get back on it? And the service person on the other end of the phone went, yeah, sure. I'll just put your name down for the next one. Right? It was that easy. All your time in the Marines, you're told paracourses are really hard to get onto. But I think it was more of a sort of urban myth than anything else, because I just called out and they went, yeah, come on down. So I rocked up there to Brize Norton. I think I had a BMW at the time, so I probably drove. And after I chucked my bags in the accommodation, one of these para staff said, Marine, would you go up to the guard room, and we need someone there to sign people in when they arrive for the course. So yeah, sure, okay. So my first night there, I'm on guard duty, and it was funny. I'm signing in these, you know, guys are coming in one by one, all guys, yeah, all guys, and I'm ticking their names off this list, and then a couple of gunners turned up. I'm just getting this right in my head. Gunners, yeah, 2-9 Commando, so green berets commandos, but army commandos, not Royal Marines Commandos as in the Navy, right? And 2-9 Commando are gunners based in Plymouth. These two gunners turned up in this rickety old Land Rover, and one of them was called H, the other was called Bodza, right? And Bodza was on the list. I found his name immediately, and then the H went, yeah, my name should be on there somewhere, and he said, I don't know, Corporal Brown, right? And I said, look, mate, you're not on the list. I'm just gonna put you down the bottom here, okay? I knew immediately. I knew he wasn't on the course, right? I'm not stupid, but like, I don't mind to put him on the course, so I just put his name on the bottom of the list. It's quite funny because a couple of days later, when we're all doing our para training stuff in the hangar, rolling around on mats, and we had a bit of a break, and I got chatting to this guy H and his mate Bodza, and this guy H went, yeah, you'll never believe it. When I rocked up, there was some idiot in the guard room, and I just told him, yeah, I'm on the course, and he put my name down. And I said, H, I was that idiot, and I knew you weren't on the course. I just put you down anyway. So yeah. We had a Portuguese Special Forces guy on our course. And this is the funny thing about when you work alongside other countries' forces as a Brit, is they just tend to be so rubbish. I'm not saying that to be discriminatory, I just mean, this guy's supposed to be Portugal's Special Forces, and he couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag. Do you know what I'm saying? He messed up every instruction we were given. And like, you got to throw yourself out of a plane with this guy. And then you got the Gurkhas, bless them. Seriously, they're like, I would say children in adult bodies, but they're not even really that adult bodies, are they? They're about this high. How the hell they have this fearsome reputation for being the hardest fighters in the British Army? Because they're all just so nice. Their passion is disco dancing. They love disco dancing. So every night up at the NAFI, they're there on the dance floor giving it their moves and doing their backflips and stuff, right? And the funny thing is Fearless Warriors, they were terrified of throwing themselves out of planes, which made it crazy because, like, why were there so many on the course? There was like at least 15 Gurkhas on our course, and the course wasn't that big. So yeah, anyway, I got them to teach me in Nepali. Is it Urdu? I can't remember, but I got them to teach me in their language. Excuse me, sir, has anyone seen my goat? And then every time I met one of them, I would just come out with this line, right? I'd come out on parade in the morning and everyone would be lined up, and I'd walk up to the Gurkhas and so, excuse me, sir, has anyone seen my goat? And they love it, right? So yeah, the course content of the para course, go through my notes here. You do floor work, that's your mats, that's rolling around, basically practicing your landings. Your landings can go backwards, sideways, forwards, obviously. A lot of it depends on the wind direction, which way you're gonna kind of, steer in or steer into this landing, and that dictates which way you put your, you always keep your legs together, which way you angle your feet, ready to do the parachute roll. You do mock-up work, that's indoor and outdoor. So your indoor work, it's all in this huge hangar, this like big gymnasium place, and that can just involve throwing yourself off a tower. You're strapped into a harness, you're on like a what's the word, someone put it in the comments, like when you pull your lawnmower and it pulls back again, that kind of device that it lets you descend slowly. It's got like a fan in it, right? It's a bit like if you've ever been to Clip and Climb, it's that kind of thing. You go and then you do your landing, right? You got mock-up aircraft, so you can practice all your seating arrangements, because you're going to be jumping out of a Hercules with 60 other men, so you got to know how to stand up, hook up, check the equipment of the person in front of you, check the equipment of the person behind, and then you shuffle. You hold on to your strap, might even call it a strop, but you strap and you shuffle to the door. Then you got the outdoor mock-ups, and these are pretty intimidating, really. Huge great towers, and you climb up into them, up a ladder if I remember rightly, and then you throw yourself out this doorway, and you've got your harness on, and it's attached to a death slide, and the minute you go out you're yanked by gravity and you fly this way, right? And it really is a good simulation of jumping into the slipstream of an aircraft. And I was, I would say I was lucky back then when I was young, but I haven't really changed. I didn't have any fear for this sort of thing. I would always, especially, no disrespect to our brothers, but especially if I was with paras, always I'm going to be first out that door, right? So I was first for every single maneuver of this kind that we did. You just made sure I was always first to go out. And then you've got your balloon jump. That's your first jump. It's a helium balloon. You're going to see a photo, right? And it goes up to, I think it's 800 feet. So it's not very high. If you get a problem jumping from 800 feet, you're probably not going to get time to pull your reserve. So it's, yeah, it's a bit daunting, that, right? But they put the helium balloon up on a cable off the back of it's like a trailer, and it's got a huge winch on it, and they winch, you know, they undo the winch and the balloon goes up, obviously, and then they can winch it back down again. And the main thing there is you don't want to hit the cable. When you jump, you don't want to hit the cable. Then you do 6 jumps from the Hercules, that's the aircraft. So that's a C90, is it? C90, yeah. And then you do a final 7th jump, and that's your night jump. You do that at night. And out of those 6 jumps, first of all, you just do it in your loose order, so just like what I'm wearing now, with obviously your parachute. Then you build up slowly, and you take on you start to do it with your equipment. And to simulate your Bergen, you know, your rucksack, they give you a jerry can. Can't do it, can I? Like this big jerry can, like a gas can, right? A petrol can. And it's full of sand, and it weighs a lot. And there's a special way you pull it up, you hook it on, you strap it to your equipment, and whenever you jump out the aeroplane, one of the first things you do, once you check your parachute that you've got a good canopy. If you haven't got a good canopy, you got to ditch, well, you can't ditch that, it's not like skydiving, but you go immediately to your reserve and you pull your reserve. But once you've done that, you let go of the equipment, and it falls down on a, say, a 5 meter long strap, webbing strap, and it dangles below. The reason for that is then that hits the ground before you do, because one thing you don't want to do is have that still strapped to your body when your legs hit the ground, because your legs are gonna do that, right? And then at the end of the course, you have your wing ceremony. You get presented your parachute wings, and that's a nice moment, right? So I've just run you through those sections that I just said. I won't go too much into it, because if you're not doing it for yourself, it probably sounds a bit boring. But your floor work, you're jumping, you're rolling on these mats in to simulate your landings, right? You're getting taught how, when you land, how you quickly have to pull in your parachute. The way you do that, because if the wind grabs your parachute, it's just going to pull you all around the LZ, right? Your landing zone, which in the case of Brize Norton is an airfield. And what you do is you land, you quickly roll over onto your stomach, you grab one of your lift webs. You've got 4 lift webs, 2 on the back, 2 on the front. They go up to your tempted to say strings, they're not called strings. It's going to come to me, I promise. But you know, they go up to the strings that go to the parachute, right? The cords that go to the parachute. And you got to roll over on your front, you grab any lift web and you pull it in quickly, and what that does is it spills air out the other side of the parachute, and then the parachute just dies, so you can't get dragged around the airfield, right? Mock-ups, yeah. One of the things you do is you hang in harnesses. They've got, let's just say 30 harnesses hanging from the ceiling. So half of the course at a time. You get in, you get your harness all strapped up, and then you do various drills. So you're being taught, they'll say, right, you're coming into water. What do? You're coming into water. Well, the routine for water is you undo your chest strap, you scooch forward in your harness, and when you get 10 feet above the water, you throw your arms out and you jump out of the harness, because you don't want to go into water with your parachute on, for obvious reasons, namely that it's going to drag you down, right? The problem was, because I've always been built like a triangle, so my lat muscles are for some reason extraordinarily big, and particularly back then I was doing a lot of bodybuilding, and I couldn't for the life of me, no matter how hard I tried, and I'm normally kind of good at the kind of gym work stuff, throw my arms out and it would just stick under here, and I couldn't get out. And our instructor, our PJI, our parachute jump instructor, just said, "THRALL, if you come in the water, just die." So yeah, and they teach you stuff like, right, you're gonna land on a roof. What do you do if you land on a roof? You're gonna smack into a building. What do you do? And it's silly things like, or simple things like you turn your fleshy parts towards the building, so you smack into it sideways, this kind of thing. Twists is a big one. What do you do if you get twists in your lines? That was the word I was looking for. Lines. Not the same sort of lines as some of you are thinking of. But yeah, they're your lines. Your paracord form lines to go up, obviously, to hold your parachute on. If you haven't got those lines, you're pretty fucked. So yeah, you get these drills that if you jump out of the aircraft and you look up, and the drill is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Check canopy. And you look up and you check that you've got a perfectly formed canopy, none of your lines are twisted, and if they are, then you have to try to kick out of them. You kick your legs and you try and spin yourself around, get out of this mess, right? If you can't rectify it, pull your reserve. And that's what they say. The most said expression on that course, the one thing you'll remember for the rest of your life, is pull your reserve, right? Which makes the story I'm going to tell you even more funnier. So yeah, and then you got your outdoor mock-ups, like I say, that big death slide thing I was talking about. So my first balloon jump, that is a big moment, right? The day comes and it's a big thing to jump out of a balloon. I'm going to say there's only one thing I've ever experienced that's more intimidating, and that's a bungee jump. It's when you're stood up there doing a bungee, a big bungee, I mean, and you're just looking down and you're on that crane and it's deadly silent. That is actually more scary than doing a balloon jump. But the balloon jump comes around, you all jump on a bus and you go to a place called Abingdon on the Green, where they're putting the helium balloon up. And on that bus, I tell you, it is silent. Not a word is said. Everyone is in their own private world of, oh my god, what am I about to do? I'm gonna throw myself out of a balloon from 800 feet. I got put, you know, your parachute in military parachuting, as an infantryman, it pulls itself out, right? So it's not like you got to pull anything, but you got to hope that thing's going to come out. You got to hope you don't get twists, and you got to fix them. You got to hope you don't get a malformed canopy, and then you've got to think quick enough to pull your reserve, right? And to be honest, it's pretty relatively safe, but there's always going to be a few statistics of people dying, right, flying around, which, yeah, that's not going to ease your nerves. So you go out to Abingdon on the Green. You get put in your sections, your jumping sections, which is, I think we had 4 men, but I think you could probably maybe even have 6, right? And I'm in there with my 3 other jumpees are baby paras. So he's like, right, who's first to the door? You know, as a Royal Marine, your hand has to be up. You have to be out first, right? You got to set the example. And this balloon, it's going slowly up. And the jump master, bless him, he's trying to make all this conversation. He's like, oh, look over there, a church. Oh, look, a sparrow. Oh, look at the field. And you're just like, shut the fuck up. We're all terrified. It's not that it's terrifying. It's just that it's so silent. You got 800 feet to go up. You're thinking that's going to take forever. But before you know it, you're already at 800 feet. And you're looking at this balloon and you're thinking, okay. So he said, right, number 1 to the door. So that's me. The one thing they always say is you stick to the drill, right? It's once you're out there, it's a gate on the balloon. They call it a gate, which is basically a little bar that they lift up, and then you jump out the basket. And they say the one thing you do not do is veer from the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Check canopy, right? It's drummed into you. This is what you say. There's no Tarzan shit, you know. There's nothing, you know. Stick with the program, right? So I'm in the door, and he says, I'm stood there in the door, and I turn around to these baby paras and I said, I see you guys on the ground. He goes, arms cross reserve, go. And I went, Geronimo! He jumped out. And don't get me wrong, I'm still in my head, I'm doing the count, the 1,000, 2,000, but you feel when your chute comes out the canister, you can feel it coming out, you can feel it ram in the air and slowing you down. And it's a funny feeling. Cool, bugger me chaps, bloody high here, isn't it? Right, okay, into the door, don't panic, mummy loves you. Right, don't look down. I said don't look down. Right, put your arms across your bloody reserve, that's it, soldier. Wait! Oh. I wasn't scared because I didn't even think to be, I wasn't given, you know, why even think about being, what's the point? Do you know what I'm saying? If you've got to do it, don't even think about, you're thinking about what you got to do and how big a hero can you make yourself if you've got 3 baby paras behind you. So later on that evening, I caught up with these paras, right, and they're lovely lads, really nice. Me and one of them just got on like best friends the whole course. And I said to him, I said, mate, what did you think when I went, I see you guys on the ground and I just jumped? He went, to be honest, Chris, I think we were all just shitting ourselves. I didn't hear what you said. So yeah, anyway, you jumped out this balloon, you look up, your chute is good, which is just a yes. Thank God for that, right? And then you pull on a lift web, because you've got to practice when you jump out an airplane, you've got to steer away from your other chutists, right? Your other parachutists. So you pull a lift web. What that does is spills air out of one side of the canopy and it makes you travel across the sky. And I always think I pulled the wrong one, you know, because I pulled this lift web. That's making me go forwards faster, which wasn't a problem, but it kind of was, because it meant the transport is back this way. So when I actually landed, it was okay, it was fine. I then had to pull my chute in, and then had miles to walk back to the transport. So I made a mental note, if I do this again, I'm going to pull the back lift web, so you're not going to go backwards, right? The wind is going to take you whatever way the wind is going, but at least you're going to slow your progress down a bit. Yeah, the balloon jump, absolutely brilliant. In fact, you know, the perfect stag do would be just hiring that balloon and getting your mates, drinking 10 pints, and then just having all day to throw yourselves out of it. Really good fun. Really, really good fun. So there's 2 anecdotes I can't forget to tell you, right? The first is all about this pull your reserve stuff, right? It's all you hear on that course. What do you do if you look up, you got twisted lines? Pull your reserve. What do you do if you look up, malformed canopy? Pull your reserve. What about if you tangle with another parachutist? Pull your reserve, right? And at one point on the course, they got the senior RAF jump instructor to come and lecture us on the finer points of safety. And this guy, if anyone remembers on the buses, Blakey, he's like this cockney, this grey-haired cockney geezer, right? And he comes in and we're all sat around on the mats in the hangar waiting for this really special lecture that we've been told about. And in comes Blakey, stands there front and centre, says, right men, how do you know when to pull your reserve? And everyone starts, you know, looking at each other. We've been through this loads of times, right? And he goes, when every fucker's going up and you're going fucking down. And the other anecdote, which I didn't want to forget, was they talk about runaway balloon. This is if you've gone up in a balloon and for some reason the cable snaps and the balloon is obviously going to go up to heaven. If there's a heaven above Abingdon, I'm not sure. And yeah, if the balloon breaks away, obviously you got to get out the freaking thing before you get carried into space, like what was his name, Felix Baumgartner, wasn't it? And then if that happens, the jump instructor will quickly get you out of that balloon. Don't worry, it'll be like, right, go, 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 and then he's gonna follow you, right? The problem is if you turn around and the jump instructor's already gone. So they're drilling this into you, right? You get a runaway balloon, listen to your instructor, he will tell you what to do, he's gonna get you up, quick. And oh yeah, here's one other scenario you don't want to get into. I'll put a little bit of video in, hang on. And so yeah, if you get hung up, right, the drill is in the aeroplane, they've got a special parachute that they will clip on to your strap, and then they will cut you away, and that parachute will come out, as you saw in the video, save your life, right? So when we're doing the runaway balloon lecture, it says, right, has anyone got any questions? So I'll put my hand up. Said, Marine, so what about if you get a runaway balloon and you're the last man out and you get hung up? Just picture someone getting carried off up into space, hanging below this balloon, and there's no one there to cut them away, right? That would be, I guess you say, your ultimate nightmare scenario. So here's my funny story. In fact, it's so funny, I actually put this in one of my Hans Larsson thriller novels. Because this guy Bodzer, Ian's friend, he's just, in the military you just get some funny guys. Some guys are just funny. Everything they say is funny. It's hilarious. Whether they mean it to be or not, it just is, right? And we're having a beer in the NAFI one night, and Bodzer says, did I ever tell you about my action man? Obviously, I never met the guy before, so go on then, go on Bodzer, tell us about your action man. He said, well, when I was a kid, I had an action man. I used to make him a parachute out of plastic bags and string. I tied this string to my action man, and I'd throw him out the bedroom window. He said, but one time I packed our action man's parachute and I threw him out the window, and he said action man just went so I ran downstairs, I ran out into the street, and action man's all just like smashed up on the ground. We're like, what happened? He said, forgot to put his reserve. Forgot to put his reserve. So anyway, why am I saying this? Well, I'm saying it because my first jump out of the Hercules, like I say, Royal Marine, you got to be first. So I made sure I was the last person to emplane, like to get onto the plane, so then I'd be the first guy out, right? And you fly up over, I don't know if it's Abingdon on the Green or wherever, you fly over the drop zone, the DZ or the LZ landing zone. DZ, LZ, doesn't really matter, does it? So anyway, you go up, and the door of the Hercules is open, and you can just smell the avgas. The fumes from the engines are coming in. You can hear the roar. It's deafening, right? And I'm near the door, obviously, because I'm the first guy out, and I'm kind of peeking like this, and it's just amazing, just absolutely beyond amazing. What you do, there aren't really words that can describe well enough the excitement of jumping out of an airplane with 60 other guys. And before you know it, it's like, stand up, hook up. You stand up, you hook up, you clip your strap on, You check your equipment, you check your helmet, you check your straps. Then you do the same for the guy in front. Obviously I'm the guy in front, so there's no one in front of me. And I turn around and I check the guy behind, and you got to check that no one's been tampering with his parachute. That wouldn't be good. And that's it. And then they say, and then the jump master goes, it's like, red on! You stand up and you shuffle towards the door of the aircraft, right? And then as the front guy, you've got your arm on the aircraft door like that, and you're looking at the red light. In fact, you might not even have the red light yet, because it's like, red on, go, right? So I'm stood there like that, and Bodza shouts from the back of the aircraft, Chris! I'm like, you know what? He's like, remember my action, man. And yeah, that's it. You're there in the door. The ground, it's like a patchwork quilt of fields below. You're not very high, honestly. It's pretty amazing. And then you just wait for the instruction. And it's red on! Go! And that's it. Arms across the bang, straight out. And yeah, you give it some Viking scream. In fact, I used to scream so loud, one of the guys behind me came up to me after a jump and went, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. Oh, I thought you were hurt. So yeah, that's it. You just bang yourself out of that aeroplane, and it is brilliant. It is brilliant. You know, you could be sat in an office going on some computer, or you know, selling bloody double glazing or something, right? Instead, you're winging yourself out of an aircraft that's traveling at 200 mile an hour, and yeah, it's all good. So there's not a lot more to say about it, really. I think I've summed it up. Obviously you then build up, you do the jumps with the equipment. My worst experience on the whole course was I was stood in the door one time, ready to go, and it's red on! Now I'm just about to jump, right? And I was first out the door on all of my jumps, so 8 jumps and the balloon jump. I'm the first guy out the aeroplane, right? And it's like, red on! Stood there, waiting to go. You wait for the green, you wait for the green, you wait for that slap on the back, go, go, go. You're waiting. And then the red light went off. And the jump instructor went, okay, stand down. And that was it. Suddenly realising we had to go around again. The pilot had made an error, or the drop zone wasn't good. All the adrenaline just flooded from my body. And it left me feeling like an empty sandwich wrapper. Is that good literary skills? Just everything gone. And I'm stood there. And then you've got to go around again, which takes 20 minutes. You're holding this massively heavy container. You know, it's probably about 30 kilos. And you're in the door and you're shaking, all your adrenaline's gone, and then you've got to try to like build yourself up again, right? Anyway, got all the jumps done, and then you have a night jump. Yeah, you do a night jump, and that's quite exciting. That's your last jump. After that, you graduate, pass out, and it's fun. Yeah, you'll get on the aircraft at night. It's all dark. There's just like a little red light in the cabin of the Hercules, and it's all the same thing. Stand up, look up, check equipment, shuffle to the door, bang, and out you go. But this time you can't see anything. You are just jumping into nothing. And when you get near the ground, they assign a jump instructor to, I don't know how many they assign, but they assign you a few jump instructors to stand on the drop zone, and they shout you down. So they'll say, I don't even know how they know who you are, because during the day you have numbers, right? But they're like, right, 2, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 9, 10, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bang, and that's you. They count you. I don't even know if it helps, but you are landing in complete blackness. You other than this guy, you don't know when you're hitting the ground, right? And there's Gurkhas like smashing in everywhere. But the most memorable part of that was we're all on the ground there, and all 60 of us have got down okay. And then the Hercules pilot, he does a circuit, and then he flies over the top of you, and he flashes his lights like that, and then just goes woof, and soars up into the abyss. And it's, you know, when are you going to experience that moment again in your life? So that's it, friends. Thank you for listening. Any questions, ping them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear more military stuff. Thank you for your support. Hello friend, I'm THRALL. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando, and I'm the only person I know that has ticked every item off my bucket list. Now if you'd like to achieve all your goals, hit the subscribe button and I'll show you how to smash it out the park.